This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons, and of course Michael, sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. You still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
Welcome back to the Patriots Dynasty podcast, week 17. We're actually keeping track. And we are down in North Carolina, we've decided.
North Carolina.
That's right. For Patriots at Panthers. Last game of the regular season. A lot on the line here, at least for the Patriots. Not so much for the Panthers, which we'll get into. But before we do, gentlemen, how are you?
Doing fantastic.
Muy bien.
Okay, you guys. You
Welcome to my hometown.
That's right, yeah. We're down.
Go on and raise up.
Take your shirt off.
That's like about North Carolina or South Carolina?
Jeez,
I think he sings for
Andy.
all Carolinas.
Is it?
No,
Yeah, it's like,
no, it's North Carolina.
Yeah?
Petey
South
Pablo.
Carolina.
yeah.
South Carolinians get offended if you confuse them, because we know North Carolinians do.
Dude, people get pissed off if you call Raleigh Durham one thing.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, and they're like, "There's an airport called the Raleigh Durham Airport."
Wait, they consider them two separate cities?
They are two separate cities. You son of a bitch.
They're literally like right next to each other.
Yeah, well, they're like 15, 20 miles apart.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Well,
then those
you
fucking
used to live
losers
in
over in
Boston, yeah?
Chapel Hill.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you live in Durham, so you are kind of the expert on what to call it.
That's right.
So, stat check. What do we call that area?
the triangle.
The whole area?
Just
Yeah.
Steve is correct. It's called the triangle.
All right, great.
What are the 3 points of the triangle?
Raleigh, Durham, and who the hell cares? Charlotte,
Wait,
Nope.
Chapel Hill.
There you go, Andy.
Hey, all right.
you know they
I'm
call.
pretty sure those are only cities in North Carolina, right?
You know they call where I live the same version of the triangle.
What?
The triad.
No, the DMV.
Oof.
Wait.
That's not a great nickname.
Maryland, Virginia, Delaware.
No,
No?
Delaware.
DC?
Yeah, the district, Maryland and Virginia. Yeah.
The district.
You know what they call where I live? Cow Hampshire.
Londonderry.
Mid Vegas.
Afghanistan.
That's probably more accurate these days, yeah.
We couldn't afford a house in Derry, so they moved us to Londonderry.
Well, speaking of angry North Carolinians, we actually know one. So we thought we'd have him on the podcast to talk about his home team.
Oh, Bobby.
Is our brother-in-law, Bobby. So enjoy that right now. So with us today, we have a special guest. It is our, I'd say, top 3 brother-in-law. Would you boys agree?
Top 2, come on.
Top 5.
But it is our sister's husband, Ellie's husband, Bobby Bridges. And this is the point where Gregory says his name with the accent.
Oh, Bobby.
There it is.
Oh, what the hell?
So my first question, that leads into my first question, which is, Bob, we didn't have a choice to be in the Brown family, but you did, and you chose this. Why?
Well, I regret it every day, but at this point I'm stuck. No, you guys are great. I mean, obviously I love Ellie, but the family is a nice icing on the cake.
Well,
Hey, you're the icing on the cake too, Bob.
Thanks, Greg.
that seemed like a very PC answer. The Ellie cake? Yikes. So, Bob, for those of you who don't know, born and raised in, is it North Carolina? I can never remember which Carolina, Bob.
They're not the same, Andy, but I'll handle that early slight and just move on. I'm from North Carolina.
Oh, so at least I got it right.
You did.
I had a 50-50 shot.
How far from Charlotte were you, Bob?
About an hour.
All right. But you were kind of in the woods of North Carolina, right?
That is true.
Does your town have a name? Rumor has it that it didn't.
We even have a post office, my friend.
Oh, is that new?
A little bit.
All right. So you grew up in kind of the woods of North Carolina.
Sure.
And the Panthers weren't a thing until you were probably what, like 9 or 10, I would think. They came in the league in 95.
Yeah, I mean, 95, so I was 10. That's
so,
right.
So then did you get into football with the Panthers, or were you already a football fan?
I would say more or less with the Panthers. I would say that as I remember it now, I was like sort of a sports fan, but like when I was a kid, like young, it was all the Braves. My dad loved the Braves, watched the Braves all the time. And, this was their heyday. This was like Maddox, Glavine, those guys. I remember watching the last out of the World Series we won in 95. So I was all about the Braves. You got college basketball. Everybody talks about UNC going on. And then honestly, at this time, I was a Hornets fan. So I remember my dad took me to a game in one of those years and around that time period with a friend of his who got tickets and going to see the Hornets playing Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And I remember that. I've still got the ticket saved in like my scrapbox thing. Anyway, so football is far off the radar. Like my grandpa was a Redskins fan, and like the Redskins were kind of the team of the territory, but I didn't really pay attention to it. We didn't have a team. It was like baseball. And then I was personally a little bit into the Hornets, and, you had other stuff going on. So no, football not on the radar at all as far as the NFL is concerned.
Because that's what I was wondering. Like, so the Redskins were the actual like team of the area?
Oh yeah, unofficially, but big time.
Are they the closest? I don't know.
I think arguably geographically, yeah, but like culturally, that was the thing. Like there's still a little bit of friction there. There are still like holdout Redskins fans in the Carolinas for sure.
Wow,
dude, there aren't even Redskins fans in DC anymore.
I was just gonna say,
confirm.
Yeah, right.
I had a question about the Hornets. Is that the Muggsy Bogues era?
It is. Good memory.
Yeah.
Dude, he was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the way it played out was basically like, and this is a couple of years down the road, but when the Hornets thing happened and then they fucking left and everybody was pissed.
Right.
Oh, wait. Hey, we're allowed to curse on this podcast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, you are.
Anyway, when the fucking Hornets owner fucking left town, like I was already starting to get into the Panthers. They have that early burst of success in their second season.
They did.
Yeah,
didn't the Jaguars as well?
That. But man, the Hornets leaving and then the Braves dynasty kind of falling apart. It was like perfect timing for me then going into high school. It was like then all of a sudden all in on the Panthers and the football.
All right. Yeah, because like Steve, like Bobby was saying, the second year for both, because they both came in 95, and both teams' second year randomly, they both made it to the conference championship of each conference, obviously.
Because I remember the Patriots playoff game against the Jaguars where like the lights stadium went out because it's such a piece of shit.
Yeah. So actually both teams lost to the eventual teams won Super Bowl, and that was the Super Bowl that the Patriots played the Packers. Yeah.
Huh.
So, but that was kind of a strange thing because it was a bit of an anomaly too. They didn't have a winning season outside of that for a while. Like in 90, they started in 95. They had that winning season in 96, and then the next one wasn't until 2003.
Who was their quarterback?
Oh man,
Burline.
Yeah.
And before that, Greg?
I have no idea.
Started with the team. How about Bob? Do you know who the original starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers was?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was Kerry Collins.
I was gonna say because he was their first pick, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, no, we didn't pick him in the very first year, did we?
Yeah, 95. But he wasn't 1 overall. He was 5 for some reason.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a whole nother story with that fucking guy and his drunken nonsense. My dude used to There was a report at once about him driving around Charlotte drunk, just yelling obscenities and racial slurs out the window.
Really?
Oh, so he fits right in Carolina.
Well, it was super annoying actually when he easy now. It was super annoying when he went to the Giants and like semi-resuscitated his career for a few years. Everybody was like, "Really, this fucking washout asshole?"
Yeah.
Goodness. So we're kind of getting into the Panthers right now in 2001, and this is the end of the George Seifert era. Did you have any comments about that? Because I actually read about George Seifert recently, randomly. Because
I mean, when you first pitched this, like I probably would have done it no matter what the game was. But when you told me when it was, I was actually kind of excited to do this because the interesting thing about this game is like it's kind of interesting what we just talked about with the Jaguars connection and like the randomness and like the connections. Because then this moment was like this was the lowest moment in the entire franchise's history.
Yeah.
This game could qualify, right?
This game truly was like the capstone of the lowest period. So like end of Seifert, the 1-15 season that was ultra embarrassing. There was like winning that first game against Minnesota. We lost 15 straight. The team totally gave up on George Seifert, which is like kind of the subtext of all of it. Like truly, they like literally weren't playing. Guys were not like showing up and trying hard. Guys were faking injuries. It was like super embarrassing because like the team had that initial high and like folks in the Carolinas were really excited. And I remember that being like a really embarrassing low point of like, are they going to lose the fan base? I actually looked this up today and prepped for this. At that final game, this game against the Pats, I think they only had 16,000 people in attendance.
Oh, wow.
And so they were, it wasn't just that they were bad. It was that they openly gave up. And like, that was the public talking point of like how embarrassing this team and this coach and the morale were. The other thing that happened here is the Ray Caruth thing overshadowed all this. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, that was this year?
No, it wasn't. Well, the incident wasn't this year. That was 99, but it was still playing out. And I remember I looked it up today to confirm this. It was in this middle of this shit show season that he was actually convicted.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that got all dredged back up, and it was just like the fucking low point for the franchise.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I mean, we got Chris Wanke trotting himself out there. Yep. Oh man, the team game up. But the interesting thing is then after this is what began really like, I mean, in my personal like kind of experience, the golden age of Panthers football. Like, and interestingly, it put us on a crossroads to meet again in that Super Bowl 2 years later, the Jake Delhomme era.
Exactly.
Then Fox comes in, he cleans things up. This was then me going right from end of high school into college and all of those seasons, which I remember quite fondly.
Yeah, and just to go back to Seifert real quick, I was reading. Yeah, I was reading because it's we're all in lockdown right now. But I was reading a book by Mike Lombardi, who was the old GM of the Patriots, and before that, he was actually the GM of the 49ers. And his whole thing about Seifert was that because he took over for Walsh in the 49ers when Bill Walsh when they were winning all those Super Bowls and everything, and they were that dynasty. And he took over from them, and basically what he was saying is that he knew how to run that system, but he didn't know how to create it himself. So Bill Walsh created this system and ran it successfully with Montana forever. And then Seifert took over and kept it going and won a Super Bowl the first year when he was the head coach of the 49ers. Got to the conference championship a few times, won another Super Bowl, and then lost in the divisional round a couple times and then moved on. And that was like moving from Montana to Young and everything like that. So I think from what I remember of him coming in, there was a lot of high hopes from Carolina Panthers fans. Is that something you remember, or am I just making that up as like an outsider?
No, that's right. I mean, it was interesting because Richardson, who was the owner at the time, was like already known as a pretty patient owner. And so, we started out with Dom Capers, who like, say what you want about the guy, was like pretty popular and pretty energetic and like the team to that initial success. And like it didn't work out and he had a bunch of like kind of mediocre to bad seasons and left, but like he was generally liked and respected for like starting the franchise.
Yeah.
And then they clearly at that moment had like higher hopes. and we're kind of aimed big, and we're like, we're going to get this like coach with championship pedigree.
Yeah.
We think our team will get around quickly, and then it was just a shit show. And it was really clear this is a guy who was used to coaching basically ready-made championship teams, which, newsflash, was not the Carolina Panthers circa 2000.
This is true. So I think outside of this, well, actually, no, before I get to that, as a Panther fan, how do you view the Patriots? Like, what do you think of the Patriots?
Yeah, I mean,
and you don't have to hold back. This is a pro Patriots podcast, but where we scan the whole gamut of they're cheaters to they can be wrong. So
yeah, I don't think there's honestly a lot there. I mean, that Super Bowl we played was, at the end of the day, it kind of gets forgotten in the whole big spectrum of things. But it ended up being a really exciting game. And we were like clear underdog in that game, and ended up like coming within the field goal.
Yeah.
And so it's not like there were like hard feelings per se. And then beyond that, it's like, then how often do we meet? You know what I mean? It's like NFC, AFC.
Yeah.
The only other game I really remember in all the stretch was like, I think 2013 or 15, but I think 13, we had this game where we played you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember the Kuechly non-called hold on Gronkowski in the end zone to win that game.
Yeah, we all remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And Brady was yelling at the refs on the way out. I remember that.
Super pissed.
And Belichick.
Super pissed. Yeah.
So was it pass interference, Bob?
It was. I mean, it was definitely clearly within the boundaries of being called a hold.
Okay.
Fair.
But you don't get every
call.
call. That's
you don't get every call. It's end of the game.
Yeah.
It's gonna like make or break it was like clearly the game like ending play. It was home in Carolina.
Yeah.
It's one of those plays, man. They're probably not calling that shit in the Super Bowl,
Yeah. And then they review it, and then they're like, we're gonna let it stand. Fuck it. Whatever.
I mean, to be clear, also a super fucking legit play from Kuechly, who knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And
that's true too.
Could have been called a hold.
And I think he probably took a calculated risk knowing that it was Gronkowski, and you may as well, because there are times where he won't get the call because
you either do everything you can, or this motherfucker is fucking spiking on your fucking face.
Exactly. So I was looking this up too, and I feel like outside of this one game in 2001, the Patriots and Panthers don't really play like boring games. There was one in 2009 apparently that I don't remember at all, where the Patriots won at home 20-10. But the other ones, there was 2013 is the one we're talking about, 24-20 with the Luke Kuechly. It was 2017 more recently. I think that was one of Stephon Gilmore's first games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Panthers
got exposed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the Panthers won that one right at the end, 33-30, on some dubious. There was like a defensive holding penalty called after Cam got sacked on third down or something like that. Kept the drive alive, and they went and kicked the field goal. And then, of course, the Super Bowl. So there haven't been many games where they haven't been exciting. So I almost, when I was looking this up, kind of wanted to put the Panthers in that kind of low-key nemesis isn't the right word, but just kind of like it is almost a bit of a rivalry, even though they don't play each other very often.
It's true, although this game and that team are long dead. I mean, I would now, thinking back about this, put Panthers history in 3 eras, and this game was this was the dead end of the first era of Panthers football.
Okay.
And then the John Fox era was really the second era, and then the like Ron Rivera, Cam Newton era, which honestly maybe we call it the end of the third era right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the eras so far.
Yeah. And apparently that the Panthers have sold out every home game since 2002. So starting in that second era.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense from my perspective, from a like upward trajectory of the franchise. And like what I said about the Redskins thing earlier, like that was like that was an actual conscious narrative by the franchise at the time. Like they knew they were constantly under threat to actually win fans over, and there were a lot of conscious decisions. So calling them the Carolina Panthers was a very calculated decision. Like they played in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Charlotte's semi on the border, but it was very conscious to try to grow a large fan base, knowing they had an uphill battle to climb with college basketball, with the Redskins, with baseball. And honestly, it's really since 2002 and up that they've actually been able to successfully, like they basically put that argument to rest that they weren't going to be able to thrive as a small market franchise.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So is Charlotte Panthers town? Just because?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Raleigh, Durham, not really in my experience. So I live in Durham, and that is definitely like college basketball.
Yep.
So like
UNC,
sense. Duke, NC State are definitely the highest priority.
100%.
Football fans that are local are they're like, yeah, I'm a Panthers fan, but it's not like you get Patriots fans back home who are like ride or die,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's totally true. And I think that part of the state will always put college sports first and foremost. I think Charlotte and Western North Carolina are different. And honestly, the thing that gets forgotten to what I just said is like a huge part of their fan base is South Carolina, which has always been more football territory anyway.
Yeah.
And like they do draw a huge base of their support there. Particularly like the black portion of the fan base is really, really heavily draws on like black population of South Carolina, which is part of the reason why Cam has been such a big deal.
Yeah.
So are you glad Cam's gone?
No, I'm super sad.
Good.
Hey, we get it.
No, it's a very sad moment for the franchise and for everybody.
Yep.
Good.
What do you think about Bridgewater?
I mean, it's a savvy signing. Like, if you look at the market and where the league's at right now, sure. It's like a decent contract. It's like it makes sense. And like, you got to view this through the prism of newish owner who wants to make his mark and new coach. Sure, fine.
Right.
But at the same time, from a standpoint of what we've accomplished, like it's tough and it's really sad to see things end this way. And, the injuries really derailed the last 2 years. And like, I still look back on that stupid ass preseason game last season when they played Cam and didn't need to, and he hurt his foot.
Yeah. Against the Pats.
And it's just like, you can't help but wonder how things play out differently with everybody, with Ron, with Cam this season. Mm-hmm. It's like hard to stomach that. And I've been a little on the outside of it the past year and a half, but it's just tough thinking about it. Should have played out differently. And Cam, I would posit Cam's the most important player in franchise history in many ways. And he doesn't get, I think in retrospect, it'll be interesting to see how his narrative plays out, because it's tough because he's been under constant fire the whole time that he's been our quarterback. And a lot of it has been undeserved, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't know if he doesn't like do himself that many favors with his.
No, my dude puts his foot in his mouth 5 times a season. But.
And the way like have you seen his like cryptic font?
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
his font is so stupid. Like honestly, if I could talk to Cam, I would be like, hey man, look, I love you, and let me tell you all the reasons why I'm a huge fan. Also, let me tell you 3 stupid ass things you do that don't help your cause, man. Can you just cut that shit out?
Let's hear the 3 things, Bob.
Yeah.
Well, the fucking Instagram font or whatever it is, I don't do the social media thing, but I know what the font is, and it's dumb. I don't know, man.
The top hats.
No, the fashion thing's interesting. I think it's more the like, he didn't do himself favors early on with like the pouting. And it's like, hey man, it's actually good for you to be fucking pissed, but you're not taking notes on how that's accepted. Like Brady can be pissed, but like you can't, it just came across as pouty early in his career. And I think it's from a guy who like was used to just being successful.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, the narrative that was wrong was that it impacted the team, because I really don't think it ever did. I think that the players always had his back and understood where he's coming from and took it the right way of, my dude really fucking wants to win. But from a broader narrative standpoint, he just like that shit really sank him. But then, I mean, we could spend a whole nother podcast going into the way in which all of this shit was unfairly judged through a lens of race. And like, the way his like charisma and sort of defiance and like fashion, like honestly, all of that stuff is like he's really unfairly criticized for.
Sounds like you need to start your own podcast, Bob.
Yeah, maybe one day.
You have plenty of time on your hands.
All right. So my last question, we may have already touched on this. What is your favorite Patriots-Panthers game?
Favorite Patriots-Panthers game? Yeah, we kind of talked through them a little bit. I mean, the honorable mention, that 2013 game I remember well. Ellie and I were living in Williamsburg. I was watching on my TV, and I remember, you know, you have those memories watching a football or any sports where like a game happens and like you win or whatever happens, and like you just have that fucking high. Like I remember, it was like I think it was Sunday Night Football, and it was like mad fucking late. It was like 11. I had to be up ridiculously early for school the next year. I drank like fucking 8 beers or something. I was like, this is stupid. I'm going to feel like shit tomorrow. But I just had to go out. I like went and fucking took a walk around the neighborhood and put my headphones in because I was just so jacked up. And I just remember that. But that, I mean, I still can't put that in first place because like that Super Bowl in 2003 just meant so much. Like it really just sparked, for me personally, it sparked like a turbocharged phase of like, I mean, I would say Panthers and football, but honestly, sports fandom in general. Like, without that, I don't know if I become a read ESPN several times every day kind of sports fan. I really don't.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's probably what happened to me too in 2001 with the Patriots.
I was going to say, there's got to be some parallel there, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I've always thought that of like, would I be a huge football/Patriots fan if it wasn't for the Pats? Because it's like it was Red Sox City before all this happened, you know.
Oh yeah, the Patriots are always that laughing stock of, you know, they'll eventually fuck this up somehow. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it.
Yeah,
which I think is probably pretty common in a lot of towns with a lot of sports too. You know, a lot of teams.
I was like Bob with the Bruins when I was a little kid. I have my first Bruins game ticket for '97 when the Fleet Center opened.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Fleet Center.
Yeah, right. Jesus, that's a throwback. All right, do you boys have any other questions for Bob?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Who's your favorite Panthers player, both all time and now?
All time is Steve Smith.
Of course.
He really represented that second era of Panthers football in so many ways. It was like the underdog status, the chip on his shoulder. It was the fact that like the Panthers don't have a lot of swagger, but Steve Smith had a fucking mountain of swagger and wasn't afraid to tell you. There's just so many moments. Like I always remember the moment when he like destroyed Fred Smoot on the Vikings and ruined his career and told him to ice up after the game.
I forgot about that.
In the playoff run, they went to the Super Bowl. The play that I'll always remember is we played the Rams in the divisional round, and it went to like double overtime.
Yeah.
And that was like low key, you know, it's interesting. It was past the like Brady Show on Turf Rams, but it was still like kind of the remnants of that with Mark Bulger. And they were 12-4 that year and like on paper a lot better than us. And I remember double overtime. I just remember it was like, I think it was the first play of double overtime. And it was just like Steve Smith, straight up slant route up, like cut through the cornerback and the safety, just streaking down the field, catching the ball into the end zone. And like, I was watching the play at some friend's house and things got heated, right? It was a back and forth game. But I'll never forget that play. And I remember my friend's mom after that, we were over there with a bunch of guys, not all of whom were actual football fans. It was like me and my friend Daniel and a bunch of other kids we just hung out with. And after the game, my friend, like everybody gradually moved away from the room that I was watching the game in because of, you know, my composure. I remember my friend's mom saying to me later after that game, she's like, if the Panthers had lost this game, I don't think I would have let my sons hang out with you anymore. So definitely Steve Smith. Like he's in my mind the most iconic player in franchise history.
And funnily enough, his first season was this 2001 season.
It was, and made the Pro Bowl as a return man.
Exactly, yeah.
But then 2003 was the Super Bowl season was really his breakout as a receiver.
Yeah, when he actually started to catch balls.
Yeah. Current, I mean, if we're counting last season, I mean, wow, Kuechly. It's just like I'm not ready to process his retirement, so I'll put that there. But honestly, like also low key, like Greg Olson, and he's one of the rare players who's come to the Panthers who is a transplant, who wasn't drafted by us, has become, I would argue, like in the like, I might go so far as like top 10 pantheon in terms of like important voices for the franchise.
Wow.
Who drafted Greg Olson?
The Bears.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I've always associated him with the Panthers.
Yeah, you see, exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't really think of another guy for the Panthers who's in that level with the franchise who we didn't draft. Like they low key have had a lot of success with like franchise level players they've drafted, but transplants not so much. Which is why I think Olsen stands out so much. And like it's also an indicator of like how sour things have gotten in the past 3 to 4 years with ownership and the management, that like he went out pretty vocally being like, yeah, fuck these guys. And like when Cam posted his shit about recently about like, don't try to pretend like I asked you for this trade. Olsen like responded to that shit and was like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. And like Olsen has enough capital to publicly fucking call the team out on shit like that. But anyway, sad to see both of those guys go.
So it's kind of almost feels like another parallel with the Patriots this year, and it feels like they're almost kind of cleaning house as well with Brady leaving and everybody else seeming to be getting signed otherwhere.
Yeah, new era, man.
Yeah. So we feel you, Bob.
Who's your least favorite Panther?
Also, Steve Smith.
That's a really interesting question. Oh man,
there's a lot.
The fact that you haven't already said
you can do a top 10, Bob.
No, I'm trying to think about that for a moment of like who pissed me off the most over the years.
Jimmy Clausen.
Ooh.
Clausen was just like not to even be considered. You know what I mean? It's just like this guy, get the fuck out. Least favorite Panther. Man, who was really frustrating over the years?
I mean, Greg Hardy, but that was more like,
what an idiot.
Yeah, not like tough. Frustrating as much as like fuck that guy.
Yeah, no, what a just like not good person. I would say least favorite Panther. I'm trying to figure out the guys. They're always the guys who you never trusted, right? Like in the big moment, who are always like, you know what? You just nope, get off the field.
Like a Rashae Caldwell type of guy.
Yeah, I would say every number 2 receiver in Panthers history, because they've all sucked, except for Muhsin Muhammad.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's a good one.
It is true. And if you look at like that team that Cam Newton took to the Super Bowl, the 15-1 team,
what a joke! Yeah,
their receiving core is laughable.
It's truly.
Give me some names, Greg.
It was.
I mean, Ted Ginn was basically the number 1.
Ted Ginn.
Yep.
Got 10 touchdowns that season.
Devin Funchess, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, it's dudes like you wouldn't even recognize their name.
No.
Holy shit. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So top receiving guys. Let's do it by yards. Greg Olson led the team in receiving yards.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Ted Ginn, Jericho Cotchery.
Oh, that's right. Swan Song Cotchery. Yeah. I love Cotchery. That's an NC State guy.
Oh, there you go. Homegrown boy. Devin Funchess, and then Corey Brown.
Who? Our cousin.
Vaguely familiar.
They called him Philly Brown.
Philly Brown.
A bunch of dudes that really didn't have business starting in the NFL, much less on the Super Bowl team.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And after that, your fullback Mike Tolbert.
Tolbert. Love Tolbert.
He went to the Pro Bowl that year, apparently.
Yeah, Tolbert was good people. His impact was probably overstated on the field, but he was good people.
That's fair. So here's just a little tidbit for you. Just you can take to your Panthers parties. Steve Smith, you know his actual name? Stevan Latrell Smith.
Interesting.
So there you go.
You want to know Ray Caruth's real name?
Yes.
Ray Lamar Theodis Wiggins.
Right.
Wait, what?
His
Yeah.
last name's not Carruth?
I think it was his stepdad or something like that.
I mean, low key, there's been a lot of controversy. Like that shit's gotten stirred up in the last year or two because he got released from jail
He
like a year or
did.
two ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
Nice.
and then basically decided to continue being a really awful person in the public eye. Like he started off with, he's like, you know what, I'm going to apologize, and then took that apology really south. How much do you guys remember? Didn't know the story?
I read about it a bit today.
The headline is he paid a guy, a friend of his, to do a drive-by shooting at the car of his girlfriend who was pregnant with his 8-month-old unborn child.
Right.
And so she dies. They do an emergency C-section, deliver the baby. The baby, however, had like cerebral palsy and other things because it spent like 70 minutes without oxygen during this whole process. Anyway, the baby is still alive. He's a guy. His name's Chancellor. He's alive now. His grandmother, the girl's mom, is taking care of him. This motherfucker, Ray Carruth, gets out of jail and has the gall to be like, guys, I want to apologize. And also, I'd like to get custody of my son. And everybody's like Charlotte lost his fucking mind.
Can't imagine why.
It's like, hey, man, you spent 19 years in prison. You just quietly fucking disappear somewhere? Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
That's pretty bad.
Anyway, so that's ongoing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
There's a new leader in the clubhouse for least favorite Panther.
I mean, there's never really an argument if you come down to it.
That's what I was gonna
He truly tarnished the franchise in a way that was like, I don't see anybody topping that.
Yeah. He was a first round pick too.
He was.
Wow. Was he any good on the field?
He was for one season, and then he was like injured and shit.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, he didn't put up much numbers. All right. Fuck him.
So, Bob, are the Patriots your number 2 team now? Or is it like the North Carolina Panthers in Buffalo?
Steve. Steve, there's no such thing as a number 2 team. There are 32 teams, and you cheer for one, and you don't cheer for the other 31.
All right. Well,
that's my philosophy.
let me tweak that a little bit. Are you going to root for Cam Newton wherever he goes this year? 'Cause that's a conversation we've been having with Brady.
I'm gonna hope Cam does well because I really think he deserves a shot. I think if he gets healthy, I think he can be good. And no, I want Cam to do well. I'm not going to cheer for his team, but I hope Cam does well. And I think it's important that he does well.
What if he goes to the Patriots? Then will you cheer for his team?
I'm not going to cheer for his team. No, I've already made this clear, Steve. But I will support Cam, and I hope he does well.
But what about your wife and your 2 daughters? I mean, they're all Patriots fans.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't support them in that.
She's such an unsupportive dad and husband. God,
I
Bob.
know. Not going to win
Sorry,
dad
guys,
of
I
the
am
year.
who I am.
All right, transitioning that to my next question. Who's your favorite brother-in-law?
Ooh.
All right, let's roll off of that. Who's your least favorite brother-in-law?
There we go. Is it just based on this podcast or in general?
Do both.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? This is going to be lengthy. On the podcast. I'm going to start next. I'm going to do an episode on this. All right, so you guys have to stay tuned.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, we've kept you long enough away from your family, but we appreciate you doing this, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed, this has been great.
Yeah,
hope the game talk is as good as the prelude.
Oh, it usually isn't, but yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah. We don't really talk about the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But I think we'll have to have you back the next time we talk about the Panthers because that will be in 2003 in the Super Bowl.
Count me in.
So, all right, love it. And this time we'll actually have you on for like the whole game because that one is actually probably one you'll want to watch.
Indeed.
Cool. All right, thanks a lot, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks,
Bob.
dudes. Carry on.
Talk to you soon. I guess we're back. I don't know how to transition out of that. I don't remember how we ended it. So,
Thanks, Bobby.
It's
Yeah.
week 17. You don't even have your transitions down yet, Andy. Jesus.
I do, but not for interviews because we haven't ever done one before.
It's a good point.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I guess now that Bobby has told us how much the 2001 Carolina Panthers have sucked, we should probably start there, don't you think? I was personally surprised at how little I knew about the Panthers for one, and also that this was kind of their lowest of the low moments in history. And then, like when Bobby said, because I hadn't watched the game when we did the interview, and when Bobby said that there was only like 16,000 people at this game.
Oh yeah, it seemed like less.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't even think it was half that, and of those, they were saying like 60% were Patriots fans.
I will say though, you said they
40
quit on
people.
a team, and they actually played pretty hard for a 1-14 team. I thought it was like, you see the end score, which I don't forget what it was, but it was a shitload to nothing, and you're like, wow, we just rolled them over right away. But it really wasn't like that.
Yeah, I thought that in the first half, I thought they competed.
Definitely did.
So the
second half was hot garbage. They were ready
Pro
to go home.
Football Reference says the attendance was 71,000.
I was gonna bring that up
No way.
because I looked it up to get an actual number. Yes, it's 71,907.
Maybe as a typo, it's supposed to be 17 instead of 71.
I mean, maybe they sold that many tickets, but it was empty. You would like look at the lower bowl, and you'd see some people sitting at the top of the lower bowl, and you're like, "What are you doing? Move down." It's like,
So it reminded
you're
me
running.
of the few games, MLS games I've gone to at Gillette Stadium for like the Revolution back in the day when you get free tickets because they couldn't sell them.
How dare you disrespect the Rebs like that?
I'm not. I'm just equating this where they would shut down the top bowl so that it wouldn't look as empty.
And they put everybody on one side of the field,
Yeah.
opposite the camera.
Yeah.
The Redskins do that too. They've like blocked off part of their upper bowl.
Right. Exactly.
Like they've like put like permanent like fencing. Remember, Greg, when we went, we were sitting against that fencing.
Yes.
And there was like seats behind us, and they had like it was like chain link fenced and like tarps over it
Jesus. So it's like
to like have their percentage full be higher.
Yeah. They were social distancing before it was cool.
10 years before it was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit about these Panthers, and we've heard a little bit from Bobby already, but as we discussed, they would finish 1-15, which the commentators pointed out nicely at the end of this game that they won their first game of the season and then went on to lose the rest of them, and that was the longest losing streak in an NFL season ever. Nobody had lost more than 15 games in a row.
Then the Lions were like, "Hold my beer."
Right. Eventually that would be broken a few years after this, but
That was for a single season, right?
yes, yeah. For one
Okay.
season. It was the longest losing streak in one season.
Who has the longest losing streak ever? Is it the old Bucks or was it the Lions?
I guess the Bucks.
I think it's the Bucks, yeah. I agree. Oh, the Browns, I don't know what theirs look like those 2 years where they went 1-32. That's got to be up there, depending on when that win came. Because then they go 1-15 and then 0-16 the next year.
I'm gonna say the Bucks because fuck the Bucks.
Yeah, there was I think I looked
I'm
it
with
up
you.
briefly, and it was like 23 straight games or something.
That's not great. Yeah, we talked about George Seifert already.
Well, not anymore. They got Brady now. They're about to go on a 23-game winning streak.
What
Knock
was
it off.
longer, the Bucks losing streak or the Patriots winning streak when they went like what was it 03-04, where they won a ton in a row?
1 in a row, right? I believe it was.
They did win a shitload in a row. I remember
I
that.
think it was 21 in a row.
That's the longest active NFL win streak,
Yes.
or all time. Yeah,
Yeah. And you could say the Patriots have the longest single season winning streak as well because they won 18 games in a season.
that's true.
So, I was looking up the best way to describe their season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been on Urban Thesaurus, but it's fucking awesome.
Wait, there's an urban thesaurus?
Really?
Yeah, where it just gives you like equivalent words.
I only
Oh,
knew about the dictionary.
Yeah,
me too.
I suggest you go to Urban Thesaurus at some point because it's so funny. So I put in dumpster fire. Some of this shit is hilarious. Trash debate, hobo salad, the dead man's dumpster diving.
Oh boy,
necropyro bestiality.
These are getting darker as you go along.
Alaskan fire dragon, libido sewer.
Fuck.
I could read this shit all day. There's like 600 of them.
Oh my god!
I think we might have a new podcast idea.
Anal backdraft.
Good Lord.
I did not know about the Sunside. This whole podcast has been worth it just for that one little nugget of knowledge.
Right?
I wish we knew this so we could ask Bobby that question of what better describes this season.
Of these 4 options, what would you choose? Dumpster fire, anal backdraft. What were the other ones? I don't think
pseudo pyro homo necro bestialiac.
All right, now we're getting crazy.
Yeah. So speaking of dumpster fires, this coaching staff, we talked about George Seifert already. Some of the other coaches you may recognize. Mike McCoy, remember him? Chargers coach from like 2013, 2016. He was their wide receivers coach. And then also Greg Roman, you might recognize, who is currently the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. And that record setting.
All right.
He's in high demand.
He really is. Yeah. He wasn't back then, if you look at this offense, because I did my best to come up with names for you guys on this offense. There really aren't any.
The Winky Man.
Yeah.
Former Heisman winner? Is that what they said?
Yeah, apparently he was really good in college.
Yeah. And who are the commentators? The commentator duo of Kevin Harlan and Craig James, our own Craig James, were doing this game.
I actually like them.
Me too.
I like Craig James. Yeah.
They did all right.
And if that's coming from Andy, you know they were great.
They're definitely not the A team, though. I will say that. And I think they knew it, so they were just having fun with it, which is why.
Right. Like when he calls out the block, like on the touchdown run that got called back.
Yeah.
And then rest immediately, he's like, "What a great block!" Like in the play, and then penalty on that guy. He's like, "Oh,
yeah, the one on Compton."
Yeah.
There's some.
I love Compton wearing the visor. It's like drizzling, overcast in December. There's snow in North Carolina. Got the visor on.
Yeah, it was. It was like 36 degrees and like freezing rain, and you could see snow around the sidelines and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it snowed down there, Greg. I'm surprised anybody was able to get to the stadium.
Once a year.
Figured they would have shut down the state.
So Chris Winkie, fun fact, he spent 6 years at the Blue Jays before going to Florida State. So he was 20. He was 26.
No shit.
When he enrolled at Florida State. So he must have been, I don't know, close to 30 by the time he got drafted.
34 down.
Because I remember that. He was, what was the other guy that from Oklahoma State?
The guy from the Browns. Yes, Brandon Weeden.
Yeah, he was the same type of guy.
Yeah.
Huh.
It didn't help him much that time on the Blue Jays, I don't think. His completion percentage, I looked it up, was 54% on the year.
For the Panthers.
I think Drew Bledsoe averaged 56.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
That sounds
low. That sounds low. 54 is not great. He completes just barely one of every 2 passes. And a lot of those are to the other team. He had 11 touchdowns and 19 interceptions.
Yeah, he threw a couple of bad pick sixes in this game.
Yeah. He threw more than a couple. He just got lucky that one of them got called back for holding on the return.
The one that Ty Law was so bad, though.
Oh,
just
none of them.
The second one, like, got deflected, right? Unless you can call it unlucky. It wasn't a great throw, but a little unlucky. The one to Ty Law, it's just awful.
Yeah, so he just, I don't know if it's a flaw of his that nobody knew about, but the guy couldn't throw an out pattern to save his life. Literally every single interception that he threw was on an out pattern, and he just hit the defensive back right in the hands.
with nobody in front of him.
Oh yeah, no, nobody.
I have a note here about Steve Smith was the guy who was in targeting. And this was rookie year. And Bobby said it took him a couple of years to figure it out. I don't know. Steve Smith flashing in this game.
He also fumbled.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so like Bobby was saying, Steve Smith's first few years was more of a kick returner and went to the Pro Bowl for kick returns in this season. But his kick returning in this game was god awful.
Awful.
Felt like every time and there was a bunch of kickoffs. The Patriots scored 38 points in this game. And every single one of them, he ran directly into the nearest defender and got just ragdolled every time, it felt like.
Yeah.
But
as a receiver, he was pretty solid. I mean, he had that one big play that got called back.
Yep.
He was, I have a note on here, he's spinning the ball down 31-6.
Literally every time he caught the ball,
have a good play.
He would catch it near the sidelines. Instead of stepping out, he would hit the guy, the defender, and try to like lower his shoulder into him and get knocked out of bounds anyway because he's so small, and then spin the ball and start yapping. He's not
that's
like you said, 31-6. Yeah. So
I love forever. Steve Smith.
100% compete 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I will say there weren't many plays that I thought he was butthole naked open.
It's an interesting way to describe naked, but sure.
That was his quote, remember?
Yeah. They made the mistake of putting him behind a desk at a halftime show. Which, I don't know what gave them the idea that would go well.
I don't either, but I think that was his quote was you gotta something about being butthole naked open. We talked about it ad nauseum in the episode where we're all together.
Yeah, Steve. Come on. Pay attention.
No, I was drinking a lot in that episode.
No kidding. Didn't show it all, don't worry.
I like him because he's like, there's a lot of like false bravado in the NFL.
Oh,
the Josh Normans of the world.
Yeah. The come at me bros.
Yeah. He strikes me as like legitimate crazy man bravado where he authentically believes he's that much better than everybody.
Yeah. And I would be willing to bet that he would fight literally anyone.
Yeah.
Like a him versus
just thinking he would be able to win every fight.
Do you think T.O. is in that? Like, how you put T.O.?
T.O. was a bit self-aware for me,
Yeah, similar, but not the same. It's more like
he knew what he was doing
almost.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He was like playing the media to a certain degree.
Oh, definitely.
Whereas Steve Smith is just like, he's out of his mind.
Yeah, I think T.O. was more of a showman.
Yeah.
Like he was going to put on a show and he was talented enough to do that. Like he was going to pull the Sharpie out of his sock or go stand on the Star in Dallas, that sort of shit.
That's fair.
Who else is an authentic crazy man bravado?
Yeah. Who's the closest comp to that?
Hines
Ronnie
Ward
Harrison's
always struck me as like that.
Nah, he's too quiet.
Yeah, he was too quiet.
But he was fearless though,
Oh, yeah.
in the same way that Steve Smith is. I actually wrote a blog on it, Andy.
You did? On what? On Steve Smith?
It was actually on Jalen Ramsey when he was being a clown.
Oh, yeah.
What's our website called?
brownbrosports.com.
Should probably know that.
Apparently you've been writing recently too, huh?
Oops.
Isn't it linked on the Patriots Dynasty site as well?
Maybe. I don't actually know.
Did you even read the blog I wrote recently? Based on the podcast?
A blog recently.
Yeah, I have about Alex Van Pelt.
No, I didn't know you wrote it.
Yeah, it's the title of the blog is Alex Van Pelt is your wife's favorite player. And there's not many words in it. It's just pictures of him looking like a stud.
The last one
even our friends could read.
Yeah, the 50 Shades of Rex or whatever it was.
That's when it started getting weird.
Yeah.
That was when it started getting good.
Yeah, and then you stopped writing.
Oh, Kobe Bryant. He's another one that was like authentic cockiness.
Yeah, that's a great comp.
Yeah.
What about Pedro?
He's also a little quiet,
He wasn't really though.
but Manny to T.O. There's a good comp.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Manny like putting on a show. All right. Speaking of the Panthers game, way the fuck off track yet again. Any other names you guys recognized? I tried real hard to put together a list.
I did not recognize was their running back.
Richard Huntley.
Yeah. Dude, what was his final stat line?
It was a lot.
He was
give me that stat check.
Crushing them though.
He
had like 100 yards by like mid second quarter.
21 carries, 168 rushing yards.
Yeah, and like 100 of those plus came in the first quarter and a half.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a close game.
So just for some context, he led the team in rushing with 665 yards.
And he got 170.
He got almost 170 in this game.
Oh my god. Yeah, they had the worst rushing offense in the league, and they're sitting there just gashing the Patriots over and over.
Yeah,
like we fumbled on the 1 yard line, right?
Yep. So we
had like 3 and goal to goes and got a field goal out of it or some shit like that.
Yeah. So the first drive the Patriots had, they got first and goal from like the 4 or the 5, and they actually scored the touchdown that you talked about, but they got called back for holding Mike Compton on the fantastic block that Craig James said. And then they end up settling for field goal. And then like a few plays later, Winky throws his first pick six of the game.
Yep.
Ty Law, who outruns Steve Smith, which I thought was pretty cool. Gave Steve Smith a stiff arm on the way.
If you need a visual of that pick six, just imagine the one in the Super Bowl on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. Out route.
Yep.
Guy throws it behind the receiver. Tyler just catches it.
Except Chris McGee wasn't pressured at all and just threw a terrible pass.
That's so true.
And so they get the ball back, and literally the next play, Winky throws another what should have been a pick six. To Otis Smith, which only wasn't because it got called back for holding on the return by whoever the defender was. So the Pats get the ball on the 35, convert a 4th and 2. Get to 4th and goal from the 2, and as Antoine Smith is running into the end zone, he fumbles it on the goal line, and the Panthers recover.
Then their first play from that
quarter went.
First play from the 1 yard line was a handoff to that dude, and he ran to the 25. Then they gave it again into the 45, and this is oh my god.
Yeah, it was. He was basically the entire Panthers offense. The entire game, really.
He had more rushing yards than Winky had passing yards.
And he stopped getting the ball in the second quarter too, which is crazy.
Yeah,
they got down so bad.
It was not great. Yeah, Carolina finished with 193 total rushing yards, which is brutal, and no touchdowns. But the name of the game was turnovers. Carolina had 6 of them to the Patriots 3, which is still not great. But I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about this, but watching this game, I didn't think I can see how this team won the Super Bowl. Because like you said, going into this, this game is absolute drubbing. It ends 38-6. And you're like, oh yeah, I feel like I remember them just beating the shit out of the Panthers. And kind of in the passing defense, because the Patriots defense outscored the Panthers offense technically because they had 2 pick sixes. But they were getting gashed in the run, and the commentators were talking about how, they have to worry about, I think it was the Steelers running game and the Ravens as well, who had won the Super Bowl the year before. You don't want to face them and all that stuff. Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, I think it was you can, if you look at it from Belichick's view, right? Where complimentary football, and it's not just about the offense, because the offense was not very good. But there is the defense they punted and got them down to the 1, right? And then the defense held them, and then they punted it too far, and Troy Brown took that to the house. And that's like defense, special teams creates defense, creates special teams, it creates touchdown, blah blah blah.
Steve, I was gonna make the same point.
Damn.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I had it written down in my notes. Belichick football.
It was actually a very similar return to that Steelers game.
Yeah, very astute
Troy
of you, Steve.
It was too deep, and then Troy took it right up the gut.
Yeah.
And then you're like, is the punter going to get him? Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, as soon as you got past that first wave, there wasn't somebody within like 20 yards of Troy Brown.
Has Troy Brown ever been tackled by a punter or kicker?
Probably not.
Never.
Because he's never really returned a kick against Adam Vinatieri, apparently.
Yeah, that's
right. True. Yeah. Oh, that would be a matchup I'd want
Oklahoma
to see.
drill with Vinatieri and Troy Brown.
Like in 2022, like current Troy Brown and current Adam Vinatieri. That would be amazing.
My money's on current Troy Brown. I don't care.
Yeah.
Troy Brown, he's shifty, man.
Well, he's our cousin. You got to bet on him.
I guess. Well, speaking of Troy Brown, this is probably a good time to bring this up. He was playing like in front of his family. They were talking about how,
yeah,
I think it was in the paper that he, like this, because he's from, I think he's from North Carolina.
We stat check this.
I'm gonna keep getting those confused. I honestly don't care about the fact that there's 2 Carolinas. No offense, Greg. I mean, you can take offense if you want. I don't really.
You don't care that there's 2?
I do, but I don't care to. If somebody tells me they're from one of them, I'm not going to remember which one.
They're culturally very different, Andy. Maybe you should read a book.
Not about the Carolinas.
Get your head out of your ass. Get your dick out of your hand.
Oh boy. So he
baby.
So Troy Brown comes home to his home state. They're talking about how he bought like 100 tickets for this game for like friends and family, and I think he brought like a Pee Wee football team to the game or something like that. And this was a great game to watch if you're a Troy Brown fan. Like I said, he had that 61-yard punt return for a touchdown. He also eventually set the all-time Patriots single-season reception record, which, if you remember, I think it was like right before the half. And he made the catch that set the record, but then it got challenged and overturned because he didn't completely catch it. And they kept like showing him the camera on him. He's just like laughing and smiling. You can tell he's like kind of pissed off and doesn't want to show. He's like, God, that was the fucking record.
And then when he did it, they didn't say any shit either.
Exactly, yeah. And it didn't happen much longer afterwards, but
yeah, no like video montage. I was expecting something.
I mean, with Drew Brees, they stopped the fucking game and like goddamn plaque out there. Where's Troy Brown's plaque?
Dude,
true.
And
that was the worst. They did it again this year too.
Oh, brutal.
When he did the touchdown record this year.
Yeah.
No. The regular season touchdown record.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
On a Monday night game. And I had friggin' Michael Thomas. It was the last. And they just pulled him in like the second quarter. It was like 38-0, and all the announcers would talk about is Drew Brees.
Of course. Yeah.
I was so mad.
But back to why this is a great Troy Brown game is that Antoine Smith running touchdown, like I think it's the first touchdown for the offense quarter.
A long one.
Watch, Troy Brown has his guy, the cornerback, on like roller skates, and he's like pushing him all the way back in the end zone from like 25 yards out.
Oh yeah,
that's classic Troy Brown right there, just blocking like a beast on the edge to get Antoine in the untouched end zone.
Right, yeah.
It's also a good Ty Law game.
It was a great Ty
Law
game.
I thought it was a fantastic Otis Smith game. He had 2 picks, which technically he returned both for a touchdown. One got called back. He broke up a ton of deep passes. We probably should have had like 3 or 4 picks in this game. He just can't catch. But I was going to say this for my best, but there was one play where he was lined up on the far side of the field, and he came on a corner blitz, and you got to watch the entire thing unfold, and it felt like watching like a National Geographic thing where you could like
the lion.
see the lion like hunting, like coming down on the prey. You're like, oh, he's gonna get him. He's gonna get him. He better throw that football. And Chris Winkie just didn't even feel him like for a second. And he got lit up. That was just fantastic television.
Yeah, Gazelle is
perfect camera angle and everything.
For Winkie.
Yeah. So
I have a note on here. That missed tackle by Winkie, and then the high step pick six. That's Otis's like pick six in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
is the gif of Winkie's career.
You think so?
You had to sum it up. Hey, you're great in the pros, but then down 31-6, make it 31-8, make your third pick six of the game.
Yes,
Winkie
it wasn't
the Pooh.
Because he was never any good, right?
No,
not in the NFL.
Rip Van Winkie.
Nicely done.
Are you just coming up with these, or are these already existing?
Oh no,
Chris, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer Winkie.
Yeah, you're fine in some way, Greg.
Oh, he's digging deep for these. He's up to his elbow.
It's a website called The Berman Files.
No, it isn't.
You hear a name like Winkie, and you're like, "There's a nickname for that."
Yeah, you're learning all amazing websites today.
Oh yeah,
I know, right? We'll have to put all these links in the show notes so that other people can
oh, there was one. There was one more. I didn't want to interrupt you guys on the.
We're listening.
So the dumpster fire one. Purple-headed Christian meat missile.
How does that have anything to do with dumpster fire?
Who knows, dude? But it's just sometimes words go well together.
Yeah, give me that one more time.
Purple-headed Christian meat missile.
Kirk Cousins' real name.
That was his nickname in high school. Holy shit. Woo. Oh, I had one more thing about Troy Brown that I forgot to bring up at the beginning of this, and before we get sidetracked again. Before this game, Pro Bowlers were announced. Brady and Malloy both made the Pro Bowl, but Troy Brown didn't, which is kind of bullshit because he had like one of the best seasons receiving in the league, and he was also like, yeah, exactly. So there was a Boston Globe article about it, and everybody was pissed for him apparently. And this is what the Globe had to say. His friends and fans were angry upon learning Troy Brown had been overlooked for the AFC Pro Bowl team, but not Brown himself. No big deal, said Brown, who will officially be named an alternate to the Pro Bowl later this week. There are a lot of great players who were selected ahead of me. There's nothing I can say about it. A lot of guys in here on the team weren't happy about it, but it's out of my control. The important thing is that I have the respect of my teammates and that we're heading into the playoffs and trying to get to the Super Bowl. I'm not upset or angry or anything like that. I've just tried to go out every week and do whatever it takes to help the team. Fucking Troy Brown, man.
Oh, I give 110%.
Fucking love him. That's just who he is, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm the Pro Bowl. That's okay.
Troy Brown's always been my favorite Patriots player.
Forever.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Brendan Fraser movie where he's like the sweaty guy in the locker room?
Troy Brown is the sweaty guy in the locker room?
No,
what the fuck?
Brendan Fraser is.
Where are we tying this in?
Yeah, where is this going?
They're interviewing him, and he's talking about, I just gave 110%.
That sounds familiar, actually.
What?
Never mind. You cut this part.
Killed it.
But I'm going to send you guys the link after, and you'll be like, oh, man, that's funny. And every time I hear a player give a bullshit response like that, that's all I don't think of.
I don't
think Troy Brown is bullshit. Yeah, that's just who he's always been, though.
That's why Belichick loves. I mean, that could have been Belichick wrote that response for him.
Right.
All I care about is winning. I don't care about individual accolades.
I'm not upset
with my team. We're going to the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
that's classic Belichick. And I don't think Belichick wrote that for him, right?
No, I don't care about the roster bonus I get for the Pro Bowl. Couple extra million. I just like.
He was just happy he was playing, man.
Eighth round.
Greg Brown. Read his biography.
I have not read that. Andy, mail that to me if you have it.
Yeah, I can get it to you. It's I don't think it was written by Troy Brown, but it kind of has a feel like it was. So I know he had a hand in it. It's got some interesting stuff in it.
I would hope he had a hand
But
in it.
it was very well. I think it was like ghost written for him, you know.
Yeah.
But it still sounds like Troy Brown. Is what I'm saying. It's a good book.
Oh, Greg, I have a stat check note. What was the last coach or what other coaches were traded for a pick? Because the commentators are talking about how Belichick was traded for a pick.
He was.
Doc Rivers.
Gruden's the obvious answer, right?
Gruden.
Who we'll see next week. But has there been anybody since then? Not that I can remember.
Doc Rivers.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Think about
Tony
NFL.
Dungy.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, that's the Gruden one. Wait. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Because they're like, yeah,
Belichick.
he's been swapped. And that's what
Gruden.
involved.
Herm Edwards, apparently.
What? Who paid a pick for Herm?
So, knowing Kansas City was interested in hiring him to succeed the retiring Dick Vermeil, Edwards attempted to strong-arm the Jets into a contract extension and include a raise. His move didn't work, and the two teams eventually settled on a deal in which Kansas City sent the Jets a fourth pick. Oh, it's a fourth pick or a fourth round pick in exchange to release Edwards from his contract. Mike Holmgren from the Packers to the Seahawks. 8-year contract valued at $4 million a year and total control over football operations lured Holmgren to Seattle in 99. Holmgren was not only coach, but also executive vice president of football operations and general manager. The Packers received the Seahawks' second-round pick, 47th overall, in the 99 draft. And Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Holmgren was pre-Belichick, but post-Parcells? No.
Holmgren was 99.
And Parcells was right around then, right?
7.
Yeah.
So this is good. Blah blah blah. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah. So Jets named Bill Belichick Parcells' top assistant as head coach and signed Parcells as a consultant. The Patriots balked, and NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue worked a deal that gave the Patriots the Jets' third and fourth round picks in 97, a second round pick in 98, and a first round in 99. On top of that, the Jets also donated $300,000 to a Patriots charity in exchange for New England releasing Parcells.
Wait, so for Parcells, we got a first, a second, a third, and a fourth?
Yes.
Wow.
And $300,000 donated to a Patriots charity.
And then Belichick was just a first rounder, right? That we
Belichick
gave
was,
the Jets?
I believe so. Here we go. The Patriots were awarded. Wait, what? The Patriots were awarded the Jets' 5th round pick in 2001 and 7th round pick in 2002. That doesn't make sense. Oh, okay. No, here we go. NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue awarded the Jets the Patriots' 1st round pick in 2000 and 4th and 7th round pick in 2001. And the Patriots got the Jets' 5th round pick in 01 and 7th round pick in 02.
Yeah, so some late pick swap.
Late. Yeah,
First.
and a first.
It's just like you don't see coaches being traded like
It does not happen often.
last 15 years.
It's basically
plus.
those 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2
There's
of those
like a
were the
bunch right
same
there.
guys going back and forth between the Patriots and
Was
the Jets.
Belichick, Parcells, Holmgren, all within 4 years.
Yeah, give or take. So maybe that was the coach trading era of the NFL.
I wonder if that'll ever come back. Probably not. I think what's harder to find, a franchise QB or a franchise coach?
Good question. And I guess that goes back to the question, would you rather start a team with Belichick or Brady?
Well, at this point, I think it's somewhat obvious, right? Brady has a couple years left. Belichick has however long he wants.
I meant like from the beginning, called
Right.
2001. I probably want the coach, I would think. Let me just look at what's his name from the Chiefs, Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Like he's
been able to do it a bunch of
teams.
different
Yeah,
ways.
he's elevated any team he's been on.
Yeah.
And you could say the same with Bill Parcells too. Parcells would always create playoff teams. He was never quite as successful without Belichick, but he took the Cowboys to the playoffs, right? Same with the Jets, took them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, got anything else you want to talk about in this game, or you want to do best and worst?
Let me review my notesies.
Did you see Chris Slade out there?
Yes.
I didn't actually see him out there, but he was on the list of players on this team.
They called him out a little bit.
Did they? No, I missed
Yeah.
that. This was his.
Announcers did.
This was his kind of swan song after however many years with the Patriots. This was his last season in the NFL. He was actually third on the team with 2.5 sacks, though. This is the only season without not on the Patriots.
I did have a note that like Brady had 17 TDs, 10 INTs, and then throws 2 more in this game. So he ended the year with 17 and 12, and that's his Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Pro
I mean,
Bowl.
like today to think about, like, oh yeah, he's got 17 TDs and 12 INTs. It's like that's not even replacement level.
I mean, it was a different.
Actually,
game,
no,
but you're absolutely
he did
right.
throw a touchdown. He threw one to Wiggins. Because like Wiggins like fell down. And
check.
he got it in the
Oh,
fourth
that's right.
quarter,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right.
which I have a note on here. That's probably important. Like Wiggins had a couple catches in this game, and then he'll have a huge catch against the Raiders.
Yeah, spoiler
Hopefully,
alert.
maybe this game.
Or will he?
Find out next week. So you're right. He threw 18 touchdowns this season. Does anybody know? Here's a quiz for you. How many did he throw in the playoffs? This in 2001.
Touchdowns?
Yeah. Because this surprised me.
1.
Ooh, Greg Brown nailed it in one.
Yeah, David
In the
Patton
Rams game,
in the
right?
Super Bowl. Yeah, right before
That's
halftime.
correct. It's the only touchdown he threw.
He ran
Yeah.
for 1 against
And
Oakland. Brady
Yep.
threw 1 against Pittsburgh.
You mean
Bledsoe.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
yeah.
Which was the same one that Brady would throw in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Corner route to Patton in the end zone.
I looked into that Ray Carew thing a little more that we talked about with Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything juicy?
Well, the only thing I think of note is how he got caught and arrested.
Oh boy. Yeah, we didn't touch on that.
Yeah, so he hires the guy that shoots his 8-month pregnant wife or
Yep.
girlfriend, right? She didn't die immediately. She like went into a coma,
Oh.
and when they like arraigned him or whatever, he paid the bail, like a $3 million bail, so he got out.
Wow.
And then she died after that. So that's when he tried to like escape in the trunk of a car of a friend. They said when they arrested him, he was like holed up in like the trunk of a car with $3,900 worth of cash, bottles to hold his own urine,
This sounds
clothes,
familiar.
candy bars, and a cell phone.
Yeah, I feel like this was actually on the news where they had like the cops had surrounded the car and they were like pulling him out of the trunk.
Yeah. and,
Where was he
like,
trying to go?
Helicopter footage of it.
California.
And then you have that former boss of Nissan. Did you hear about that guy?
No.
Oh yeah, that
He got
sounds-
indicted in Japan for like defrauding Nissan and stuff, and he like fled the country in a violin case.
I'm gonna guess
And
it
like
wasn't a
got on
violin
an
case.
airplane, flew
That's
to
the most-
somewhere in the Middle East, and he's scot free. He's home. He's like can't be extradited.
That's the most Japanese thing ever. Everybody else got to be in a cello case. He's in a fucking violin case.
Ray Cruz in a goddamn car, pissing in a bottle, this dude sitting in a violin.
He's in a
case.
goddamn Nissan, probably. Oh Jesus. Yeah, I actually remember that.
The only other note I had was they were talking about the fans at the stadium. They said 40% were wearing Patriots gear,
Yeah.
and that they heard a "Let's Go Jets" fan our chant,
Oh yeah, chant.
Patriots fans, because
Yeah, way to give away my worst.
So yeah, let's touch on that because we kind of almost talked about it at the beginning, but this game did have playoff implications for the Patriots because they had to win this game, and the Jets had to beat the Raiders for the Patriots to get the number 2 seed and a first round bye. And of course, our friend fucking Ron Borges decided that would be a terrible idea. And so he wrote a bunch of articles in the Boston Globe the week before saying that was probably a good idea for the Patriots to lose this game so that they would play wild card weekend.
What?
Playing 3 games would be better than whoever they would face, and all this extra time off would be.
That's retarded.
That's Ron Borges.
Yeah.
typical Ron Bog.
And the best thing was the day after the game, he had to do another article that basically said that all the players would prefer the extra week off.
Yeah.
And had to walk back literally everything he said.
Well, when they opened the game, they had a graphic up, and I was like, Patriots are the number 2 seed. I mean, there was a bunch of people at like 10-5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I don't see the scores before I watch the games.
Yeah.
Because I like to be surprised, I guess.
All right.
And I was like, man, how do we go from like number 2 to playing on wild card weekend? And then like halfway through the second quarter, like, oh yeah, if the Jets can beat Oakland today, then the Patriots get a bye. And I was like, fucking Jets. I would root for them anyways. I would root for the Jets to lose and play on wild card weekend. If Ron Borges wrote that column and said, you know what? We should play on wild card weekend because fuck the Jets and fuck Curtis Martin, I would be like, yes.
That's what it should have been.
Fuck everybody at that stadium who was chanting, let's go Jets. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Ooh, Steve, fiery.
But this will be good, and I'm sad that Mike's not here for this one. But the Jets won it on a last-second field goal, thanks to the heroic seemed like a strong word for a holder on a field goal attempt, but Tom Tupa got a bad snap, but still managed to pull it up and set it up for who the fuck's their kicker? I don't even care. John Hall to kick the game-winning field goal, so the Jets won 24-22 right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So Tom Tupa is the reason the Patriots dynasty began.
That's fine. I mean, it gave us the Raiders game, which is awesome, and we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
All ends well, but fuck the Jets. I'll give you my best.
All right. Best of words. Get right into it, Steve. Come on.
So the commentators were like, Brady had a hard count, and it was like 3rd and 6 or something like that, right? And he gets a hard count and gets a offsides, and they're like, oh yeah, Brady's hard count is part of his arsenal. And like literally while they're talking about how this hard count is part of his arsenal, Brady busts out the quarterback sneak. I don't know if I can't remember a Brady QB sneak like that during the season. Nothing stuck out.
Not on like just like the hurry up, get to the line and do it real quick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's his like number
That's
one
his arsenal. Yeah. No,
And to be fair, Steve, neither you nor I have watched any of the games this year, so we could.
I watch them. I just don't see all the articles.
Yeah, no, I feel like it may have came up once, but it may have been one of the games that you guys were on. It's just me and Mike. Maybe like the fucking early Dolphins game, but yeah, no, it hadn't happened often, if at all. So this first, the beginning of what was a legendary run of him converting on.
Dude, 1,000 yards doing it.
Yeah, it's true. 1 yard at a time. That's great. All right, and your worst was the Jets stuff?
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Greg, what about you?
All right, so my best. There was a couple instances where they put in the like the in-game highlight package where they give you the update around the league.
Oh, you might be stealing my best, yeah.
Well, there was 2.
Oh, okay.
I'll leave the one I think you're going to go with.
No, you can do them both. I'm sure I can find something else.
Okay. Well, the first one was a Chris Fumatu Mafala sighting.
Yeah.
We'll get to talk about him next week, I think. But yeah,
And
just a
then they
couple
said,
weeks.
enough said.
Chris Berman, he's one bad Mafala.
I like that you nailed that pronunciation on the first go too.
Dude,
Fumatu
I've
Ma'afala.
thought a lot about that man's name in my life.
Oh my God,
It's one of the best
all-name
NFL.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fumatu Ma'afala.
Up there with Tim Biakabatuka and Ha'o Manao Nui.
Mm.
I got
So-
them both first try. How about that?
So the other one was the one I think you were thinking of was
Yep.
Keith the tractor trailer
Yes.
intercepting
With his
a
interception
ball
return.
and running it like probably 60 yards.
Wait, did
No.
he do this for the Patriots? Because I saw that and I was like, I feel like I've seen that play with him in a different jersey. Or maybe I'm just remembering that.
No, I think it was the Ted Washington one you're remembering.
Oh, yeah.
I
Wasn't
guess
that Ted
it
Washington? Yeah, the 31-0 game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But no, because I mean we've seen other nose tackles return fumbles or interceptions. Like we've seen Vince Wilfork do it a couple times.
And it's
Never seen
always awesome.
But I've never seen anybody
Yeah.
move as slow as Keith Traylor did in this.
Well,
Really?
and the best
Pretty
part is
cool.
he gets like 40 yards in.
Yeah.
And he starts looking around for someone to pitch the ball to because you could tell he was just so beat.
It was
He's
so
like,
dumb.
fuck this. Somebody take this thing.
And he couldn't find anybody. So at the end, he just kind of fell over. Nobody tackled him. He just kind of like went down in a heap at the 5-yard line. He was just all
Dude,
done.
Fat man touchdowns or fat man returns are the best.
Oh, they're so good. Like the referee was out running him and like having to like just jog to slow down a bit.
I just looked
was
it up.
so good.
He has another 62-yard return. That was 67.
Wow.
62 and 97.
Did he score?
Nope. He hasn't scored a touchdown.
I bet he didn't. He just runs out of juice.
And the
And I
best
will
is
say, when Wilfork does it, he actually looks like athletic about it.
Wilfork
Remember
is.
the one where
I'm
Wilfork
sure we'll talk
batted
about
up
it
and caught
eventually.
it with the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's thrown a stiff arm at one of them.
he transfers the ball from one arm to the other.
Yeah. He's holding it like an actual football player instead of like a loaf of bread.
I mean, the all-time worst is Leon Lett.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He put shame to the fat man name. Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
Don Beebe.
Yep. Nice deep dive. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your worst then?
I hadn't really thought of it. The only other note I had in here is when they I guess I could spin it into a worst is when they were talking about Brady and like they had they have the meetings the night before
Yeah.
and they said that he was wearing baggy blue jeans and it was hanging barely on his fanny.
And
That
a-
a sign
yeah.
sign of the
And a-
times. Yeah.
And a backwards baseball cap.
Yeah.
It was barely on his fanny. They tell you the kids these days.
That's a pretty good one. All right, I'll give you that. All right, let's see. What's my best here? I got a lot of worse in this game. This was a sloppy game.
Oh, so
I think-
sloppy.
One of my best was the infographics they put up. Just the title of one of them was Panthers or Pussycats.
Ooh,
Just
meow.
It was just showing how they ranked last in like everything and second to last and everything else.
That's
Wow,
a
they're
week
running all
17.
over us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a week 17 graphic.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, no one's watching this game, right? We can go with the Pussycats graph.
Jokes on them. It's 2020. We're watching it.
It was so good. Let's see. I feel like, yeah, that's probably as best it's going to get for stuff we haven't talked about. I think the worst was basically all of garbage time at the end of this game. There was Patriots fourth. So this is how the fourth quarter went. Brady tried to hit Patton deep on third down, up like I don't know 2 touchdowns already. They're up 24-6, and he's just like going deep just for the hell of it. And so they punt. The next play, Winky fumbles a snap. The Pats recover, and Brady scores a touchdown. And then Otis Smith finally gets his pick six. This is still in the fourth quarter. And then at the end, like, the Panthers is still kind of trying to go for it, but it's like fourth and really long. The Pats jump off sides on the fourth down play, and Winky drops back. He's got a free play, drops back, and gets blindsided, drops the football, and it literally just like sits there. Like nobody goes to recover it because like it doesn't fucking matter. It's a free play anyway. So like eventually one of the Patriots players jumps on it, and this is all in a play that just like doesn't fucking count. And then so the Panthers get a do-over. Now it's like 4th and 2 instead of 4th and 7.
Well, that was a foreshadowing for Cam Newton in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's Panther style.
Nah, I don't want to pick that up.
It was, yeah. Wiggins just like sitting there watching the ball. He's like, yeah, I'm good. And then so they have 4th and 2, which they could have converted, and then Winky goes and almost throws yet another interception to Otis Smith. And that's basically how the game ended. And it was just like running out the clock. Yeah. And it was just like such a shit show.
They had their chance, I'm telling you, because their running back was gashing us. It was awful.
It was
and
bad,
then he just committed a bunch of dumb penalties, and Winky was just could not stop throwing picks.
A couple other honorable mentions for worse. Steve Smith's fumble on the kick return was his 8th fumble on kick returns that season.
Yeah, I had that note too.
Fucking 8th, and he still made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Different game back then. And then on the opening kickoff, Patrick Pass returned it. Got tackled as he was going out of bounds and hit the plastic tarp and slid so far that he hit the benches and injured himself.
Dude, he was jacked up the whole game. Like he kept playing, but you could tell his shoulder was fucked up from like hitting that bench.
Because he made a couple of tackles on Steve Smith on kick returns. But he was all like, he would come limping off every time.
Remember when Reggie Bush
how the game started was that fucking play
in the Super Bowl or in the Superdome?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he
kind of remind me of that?
Them?
Yeah, he did. He sued the Superdome.
There was something, yeah.
Or it might have been the Rams' old stadium.
Yeah, it was one of those domes.
Oh, and I had one more
cement on the outside.
Yeah, it had a cement ring before they hit the actual like stadium wall, and that's what he slid on and tore his shit.
Yeah, that when he did that, I was like, that looked like Reggie Bush, because like he's flying, and then like all of a sudden there's a bunch of shit.
Yeah, and there's no way to stop. He literally was like slid on his stomach, for like 5-10 yards at full speed into the footing of those metal benches that they have on the sidelines. But I had one more trivia note that I thought was pretty cool. On Winky's second interception, the one to Otis Smith that got called back, that was tipped. The receiver that tipped it was Donald Hayes, who the year after would actually be playing for the Patriots and catching touchdowns for them.
Wasn't he a Dolphins guy?
Donald Hayes was with the Panthers for 4 years. This was his last year with the Panthers, and then
you're thinking of Donald Driver, Steve.
Yeah.
Probably true.
Packers and
for the Pats in 2002. One of the many of those one-hit wonders that would be on Tom Brady's list of 77 different receivers.
So many of them. Oh, I have one note before we wrap it up.
Give it to me.
The end of the second half.
Yeah.
When they had the Hail Mary chance, the Panthers did.
Yeah. And the first half?
The first half. And the Patriots rushed one player. And then someone blitzed. Like, literally, they rushed one.
They did.
And then one of the linebackers blitzed, and, like, literally the other 4 guys, like, let's go.
Off the end, yeah, right? Eventually.
And he forced a fumble. And the commentators...
Even better than that.
Is that a fumble? Like, no, it's a tuck rule.
Yes. It was the tuck rule. Yeah. And it came into effect yet again. This is the second time we've seen it this season because it came into effect in the first Jets game, too, back in week 2.
Yeah, everyone remembers. I mean, you can always point to that first Jets game and be like, oh, well, yeah, this is where it happened that once. I don't think anyone's really thought of this
Yeah, but that was literally the play that ended the first half. Was
Yep. It was clearly a fumble. It was clear fumble. It was actually a very similar kind of hit to that.
almost exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was pulling the ball down and got hit, and it came.
Got hit from his right side from a guy blitzing like free.
Yep.
And dropped the
you're
ball.
So you're saying that the tuck in the Patriots game, the Raiders game, was a fumble too? Then
No,
No.
because it wasn't.
No,
a
because
fumble.
they were both called
Oh.
They didn't
incomplete.
call it a fumble on the
Oh.
field. With
but
that.
you just said that this one's clearly a fumble.
Well, in today's game, yes, it is clearly a fumble. But
Oh,
Is it
with
though?
the
Did they
tuck rule
change the
in
tuck rule?
place, it's not. Even the commentators are talking about the tuck rule.
oh,
that's true.
interesting.
They even called it
If
the tuck rule.
you'd watch the game, Greg, you'd know.
I did not see that part. I
watch more than usual.
Yep.
I'll give you credit for that. All right. Anything else anybody wanted to touch on here? I
No.
think that's all my notes.
Yep. Foreshadowing next week, Raiders, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I think you're not alone in that.
The snowball.
The snowball. That's right.
Let it
see you.
snow.
We will see you next week for a playoff edition of the Patriots Dynasty podcast. Thanks for listening.
I'm dreaming of a wide
Stop.
playoff.
See you guys.